A poor woman kisses a millionaire in front of his family at the airport. When she finds out the reason for the kiss, he thanks her on his knees. The airport was crowded that day, as always. People hurried through the corridors with suitcases and anxious looks, while announcements echoed through the loudspeakers. Amidst the crowd, Erica stood, almost motionless, near one of the huge glass windows. Her attentive eyes followed every movement of Christian Riveros, a successful businessman, who was surrounded by his family. They seemed a picture of perfection: impeccable clothes, calculated smiles, full of an elegance that she only knew from magazines. Erica, from humble origins, knew that this was a world she had never touched, but that did not intimidate her. With her heart racing, she clutched a crumpled piece of paper in her hands. It was more than just a piece of paper. It was a note, a plea for help written with tears and hope. "I will do this," she whispered to herself, trying to gather courage. As Christian and his family approached the boarding gate, Erica took a step forward. Her determination was almost palpable, but a small voice in her head still made her hesitate. What if they ignore me? What if I'm just another random person to him? She took a deep breath. There was no more room for doubt. Suddenly, Erica began walking towards Christian, her steps quick but hesitant. The businessman's family noticed the young woman approaching, which caused some suspicious glances to be cast in her direction. Christian had his back turned, adjusting the watch on his wrist, while his wife spoke to the children. "Excuse me, Mr. Riveros," Erica said, her voice trembling but firm enough to be heard. Christian turned around, surprised. His eyes studied her for a moment, confused before he could answer. Erica, without giving him time for any more doubts, quickly approached him and, in an unexpected gesture, kissed him. It was a quick kiss, but it was enough to freeze time around them. The confusion was immediate. "Oh my God, what's going on?" Christian's wife exclaimed, shocked, as the security guards quickly approached. "Sir, are you okay?" asked one of the security guards. Grabbing Erica by the arm, Christian raised his hand, indicating that no one should touch her. He looked stunned, but something in her eyes caught his attention. It wasn't a random gesture. Something in Erica's expression made him hesitate. "Stop. Leave her alone," Christian said with authority. His voice echoed through the hallway. Everyone around him was stunned, and Erica, with the paper still crumpled in her hand, looked at him, trying to control the fear and emotion that were struggling to overflow. Christian's wife was furious. "Who is this woman, Christian? What nonsense is this?" I know her," he said, almost as if he were remembering something distant, a moment lost in time. Erica, her voice still fragile, tried to explain. "Please, I just need to talk to you." The chaos continued, but in that instant, something changed in Christian's eyes. There was recognition, and it was only the beginning of a story that was about to unfold. Silence filled the airport. All eyes were on Christian, including those of his wife and children, who demanded answers. Erica, still holding the crumpled paper, looked uncomfortable and out of place, but she did not back down. She knew that this moment would be difficult, but she didn't expect it to turn into something so intense. "Christian, who is this woman? What's going on here?" his wife asked, her voice thick with indignation and disbelief. Christian raised his hand, asking for calm. There was a mix of emotions on his face: surprise, nostalgia, and a hint of vulnerability. He took a deep breath before finally speaking. "Erica saved my life," he said, his voice firm but thick with emotion. The words hung in the air, shocking everyone around. His wife stepped forward in disbelief. "What do you mean, Christian? What are you saying? You haven't even mentioned this woman before." Christian's children, who had been watching until then, exchanged curious glances. The oldest, with a puzzled expression, asked, "Dad, what do you mean by saved your life?" Erica said nothing. Her breathing was heavy, and she seemed to want to disappear from there. It was as if this wasn't the moment she had envisioned when planning her approach. But it was too late to turn back. Christian turned to his family, his eyes fixed on his wife. "You deserve to know. Everyone deserves to know," he said, before looking at Erica with a mixture of gratitude and regret. "Erica and I met a few years ago, when my life was at its lowest point." He paused, as if choosing his words carefully. It was right after the company went through that financial crisis. I was on the brink of collapse. I felt like a failure, like everything I had built was going to fall apart. That day, I decided to end it all. A murmur of surprise and shock echoed among the family members and the few people still around, listening to the conversation. Christian's wife covered her mouth with her hands, her eyes wide. "You never told me that." Christian nodded, his face serious. "Because I never could. But I was at rock bottom, without hope. And that's when I met Erica. I was on a bridge, about to make the biggest mistake of my life. And she showed up." Everyone's eyes turned to Erica, who seemed to be reliving that moment in her mind. She took a step back, shaking her head. "I didn't do anything special," she said, her voice low and hesitant. "You did everything," Christian countered, staring at her intently. "You saw me there, alone, and you spoke to me. You didn't judge me. You didn't ignore me. You gave me words I didn't even know I needed to hear. You made me see that there was still something to fight for." The tension in the air was almost palpable. Christian's wife seemed to be struggling to process it all. "And you never told me any of this." "Why, Christian?" He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Because I was ashamed to admit how weak I had been. But Erica, she was the reason I came home that night. And to this day, I owe my life to her." Erica looked at him, surprised by the sincerity of his words. But she still felt the weight of the situation. "I just wanted to thank you for that night, and ask for something. I didn't imagine it would cause all this confusion." Christian's wife looked at Erica with a mix of emotions, distrust, curiosity, and perhaps a touch of respect. "And what do you want now?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Erica hesitated, looking at the paper in her hand. "I just need his help. One more time." The words hung in the air, while everyone waited to understand what else that story held. The silence grew, but it was Erica who finally broke the moment, her voice soft but heavy with emotion. "I recognize the sadness in your eyes, Christian," she began, looking directly at him. "The same sadness I saw in my father before he took his own life." The revelation made everyone's hearts clench. Christian stood still, absorbing those words. He remembered the day it had all happened, and how Erica's gaze had seemed to pierce through all his barriers in that moment. "You left a letter, Christian," Erica continued, her eyes brimming with tears. She held the crumpled paper tightly, as if it were a living piece of that memory. "I found it lying on the bench of the bridge. You thought no one would look for you, but you were wrong. I read your letter, and I knew I had to do something." Christian closed his eyes for a moment, as if reliving the scene in his mind. "You followed me," he said, his voice low, almost a whisper. "Yes," Erica confirmed, nodding. "I was in the right place at the right time. When I read those words, I couldn't ignore them. I ran after you, even though I didn't know what to say. When I found you, I was about to well, you know." Christian's eyes filled with emotion. He could still hear Erica's voice that day, a voice that had pulled him back when he was on the brink. "You called me," he said, remembering. "Hey, why don't you come down and have some hot chocolate? Those were the first words you said to me." Erica smiled shyly, with a mixture of relief and nostalgia. "I didn't know what else to say, but I knew I had to get you out of there. And to my surprise, you said yes." Christian shook his head, a slight smile on his face. "And the hot chocolate was at my coffee shop," he revealed, turning to his family. "She didn't know, but I owned that little cafe on the corner. Still, she was the one who took me there." Erica stepped forward, now more confident in her words. "We talked for hours. About life, about pain. I just wanted you to know that you still had reasons to keep going." Christian's eyes lit up. "And you made me believe that. You not only got me off that bridge, but you helped me find a new purpose. That's why I offered you a job at my coffee shop." Christian's wife, now calmer, looked at him with a mix of surprise and tenderness. "You never told me any of this." "Because it was a moment that completely changed me," he replied. "Erica not only saved me that day, but she also helped me rebuild my life, brick by brick. She was part of all of this." Erica smiled shyly, but there was deep emotion in her eyes. I only did what I would have liked someone to do for my father. And I'm glad you accepted my help, Christian. The revelation made everyone realize how much deeper and more meaningful that story was than they had imagined. A connection that transcended chance and changed two lives forever. Christian took a deep breath, trying to keep his emotions in check as he looked at Erica. I didn't just give you a job, Erica, he said, his voice thick with emotion. I gave you the coffee shop because I knew you deserved more. You gave me a new lease on life, and I wanted to give back the only way I knew how. Erica's eyes lit up at the memory, but there was a visible weight in her gaze. She smiled softly, but there was something unspoken there. And I'll never forget what you did for me, Christian, she replied, her voice low but firm. You didn't have to do any of that, but you trusted me. Christian's wife, still a little suspicious but touched by the story, asked, Did you keep the coffee shop all this time, Erica? Erica's smile faltered, and she lowered her gaze for a moment. Then, with a deep sigh, she revealed what she seemed to have carried with her for years. No, I couldn't keep the coffee shop. Christian frowned in surprise. What happened? Erica looked at him with sadness, but also with a dignity that showed she didn't regret her choices. My mother, she got sick, Christian. Very sick. The treatment was expensive, and I had no other choice. Christian was silent, absorbing his words. You sold the coffee shop, he murmured, more a statement than a question. Erica nodded. I did. It was a difficult decision, but at that moment, saving my mother's life was all that mattered. The coffee shop gave me a future, but my mother, she was my present. The silence in the room was sharp. Christian put his hands to his face for a moment, trying to process the information. He knew how much that coffee meant to her, because it had meant so much to him, too. But at the same time, he understood her decision perfectly. You did what anyone would do for someone they love, he said finally, his voice softer. I'm sorry you had to go through that, Erica. I just wish you had told me. I would have helped. Erica looked up, more confident now. I didn't want to ask you for anything. You had already done so much for me, Christian. That coffee shop was more than a gift. It was a chance to prove to myself that I could start over. And even though I had to sell it, I will always be grateful. Christian shook his head, a look of admiration on his face. You are stronger than I imagined, Erica. Even after everything, you still managed to face life head-on. Christian's wife, now visibly moved, put her hand on her husband's shoulder. She saved your life, Christian, and, apparently, her mother's life, too. Erica smiled, discreetly wiping away a tear. I just did what needed to be done. And no matter what happened with the coffee shop, what I learned there is what really stuck with me. No one can take that away. Erica took a deep breath before she began to explain. All eyes were fixed on her, waiting for her justification for the unexpected kiss at the airport. She swallowed hard but kept her composure, determined to clarify everything. I kissed you, Christian, because I knew it was the only way to get your attention, she said, her voice shaking slightly. I needed you to listen to me. I didn't know what else to do. Christian, still kneeling, looked at her with eyes full of concern. Erica, what's going on? Why didn't you come to me sooner? Erica hesitated, but then revealed, I'm sick, Christian, and it's not something simple. I need help. And you were the only person I could think of. A heavy silence fell over the room. Christian's wife, his children, and even the employees watching the scene held their breath. Christian felt a knot tighten in his chest, but he wasted no time. He reached out and took Erica's hands, his eyes fixed on hers. Erica, he said with determination, you saved my life when no one else cared. I'm not going to turn my back on you now. He knelt even closer to her, as if trying to show her that he was there for her in every way possible. I promise we'll get through this together, he declared. You're not alone, and you'll never be again. Erica was silent for a few moments, her emotions overflowing. She tried to say something, but the words wouldn't come out. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. I don't know how to thank you. Christian shook his head. You don't have to thank me. You're part of my story, Erica. Now, you come with me. You will live in my house. There, you will have everything you need. Doctors, comfort, And above all, a family that will take care of you. Christian's wife, despite still adjusting to all this upheaval, nodded, showing her support. If Christian trusts you, Erica, we will too. We will do everything we can to make sure you are well. Erica, touched by these words, simply nodded, holding back tears. The days that followed were a true whirlwind of changes for Erica. From her modest reality, she was transported to a life of luxury and comfort in Christian's mansion. Everything seemed surreal. The huge bedroom she was given, the impeccable gardens, and the attentive treatment of each person in the house. At first, she felt out of place. During dinners, she was careful, almost shy. But Christian made a point of integrating her. He introduced her with pride, remembering all the moments they shared and reinforcing her importance in his life. Christian's wife and children also began to make room in his heart. Their youngest daughter, Camila, was the first to break the ice, pulling Erica in to help with a school project. "You're much better with words than I am," Camila said. Laughing, Erica smiled. "Believe me, I've never been good with words. I've only learned to say what's important." These small moments helped build a bond between her and her family. Each day, Erica felt that despite everything she had lost, maybe she was finally finding something she never knew she needed, a home. And as she learned to trust others again, Christian kept his promise, dedicating himself to making sure Erica got the best care. What began as a desperate search for help soon turned into a bond that connected lives and stories in ways no one could have predicted. The relationship between Erica and Christian's family grew with each passing day through challenges, laughter, and discovery. They realized that sometimes the deepest connections come from the most unexpected circumstances. The hospital atmosphere was heavy, and the silence was almost deafening. Erica sat in a chair as the doctor explained the diagnosis, with a grave expression. "Unfortunately, the current treatment is not responding as we had hoped," the doctor said, choosing his words carefully. "But that does not mean we do not have other options. We will reevaluate your condition and look for alternatives." Erica felt a lump in her throat. Although she was used to dealing with adversity, this news was a blow. Her face remained impassive, but inside, a storm was brewing. When she returned to the mansion, Erica walked slowly to the garden, where she sat alone. The tears came silently, and she let them fall, without trying to hold them back. Her mind took her back to the time when she cared for her mother, who had fought the same disease with a strength and courage that she now tried to find within herself. She remembered her mother's smile, even in the most difficult moments. "No matter how dark it seems, there's always a spark of light, my girl," her mother would say. That memory brought a small relief, an echo of strength amidst the chaos. While she was lost in her thoughts, Anna, Christian's oldest daughter, appeared with a piece of paper in her hand. Erica quickly wiped away her tears and forced a smile. "Hi, honey. What's wrong?" Anna hesitated, but then handed the paper to her. "I drew this for you. It's the coffee shop my dad said you loved. I don't know if it turned out exactly like it, but I thought maybe it would cheer you up." Erica looked at the drawing and felt her heart warm. Anna's simple lines depicted the coffee shop in detail that only someone who listened carefully could capture. It was as if the drawing had the power to bring back happy memories of a time when she felt she could face anything. "It's beautiful, Anna," Erica said, her voice breaking. "Thank you. You don't know how much this means to me." Meanwhile, Christian was determined not to accept the diagnosis as final. He endlessly researched alternative treatments, consulted specialists around the world, and made phone calls that often stretched into the wee hours of the night. "I'm not going to give up on her," Christian said firmly over dinner with his family. "She never gave up on me when I needed her. It's our turn to do the same for her." Christian's wife took his hand and smiled with a gleam of determination. "We're with you. All of us." Camila and Anna nodded, each promising to support Erica in any way they could. The family's love and unity were palpable, creating an environment that radiated hope. Even in the darkest moments, Erica began to sense this strength all around her. She was grateful to be surrounded by people who, even without blood ties, fought for her as if she were one of their own. Every gesture, every word of encouragement, Every smile made her cling to life even more. That Anna's drawing hung in Erica's room, a constant reminder that there was reason to keep fighting. Christian's determination and the love of her family formed the basis for a new stage in Erica's fight. She knew the path would be difficult, but she also knew that she was no longer alone. Erica sat in the living room, looking out the window as the sun began to set. The first stage of her new treatment had been completed that morning, and although she was exhausted, there was a small glimmer of hope in her eyes. The support of Christian and her family made her believe that perhaps it was possible to overcome this battle. The doorbell rang, interrupting her thoughts. Anna ran to answer it, and upon opening the door, she was faced with a kind-faced woman with gray hair. "You must be Anna," said the woman, smiling warmly. "I'm Rosa, an old friend of Erica's. Is she around?" Anna nodded and led Rosa into the living room. When Erica saw her, she was surprised. "Rosa, is that you?" she exclaimed, standing up to hug her. Despite being visibly tired, Rosa wrapped her in a tight hug. "My dear, when I heard about everything that was happening, I had to come. I couldn't stay away." The two sat on the couch, and Christian entered the living room, curious to meet his visitor. Rosa, noticing his interest, began to share stories from Erica's past. "I used to work at the coffee shop that Christian owned before you took over, Erica," Rosa began. "You transformed that place, you know. But what struck me the most was your generosity." Christian frowned, intrigued. "Generosity?" Rosa smiled. "Oh, yes. Erica never let anyone leave there hungry, even if they didn't have money to pay. I remember one night when a man showed up, clearly desperate. He didn't have a penny, but Erica insisted on serving him a full meal, saying that a person's dignity is worth more than any amount of money." Erica blushed, trying to change the subject, but Rosa continued. "It wasn't just with the clients. She took care of me like she was my own daughter, even when I was facing personal problems. And she never stopped believing that people can change their lives if given a chance." As Christian listened, he felt the weight of Rosa's words. He knew Erica was special, but he had no idea that she had impacted so many lives. At the same time, something Rosa said caught his attention. "Rosa," Christian asked, leaning forward, "you mentioned that you knew my coffee shop before Erica took over. Did you know about the connection between us?" Rosa looked at Erica with a sad smile, and then turned back to Christian. "I knew. And your mother knew too, Erica." Erica stood still. "My mother knew." Rosa nodded. "She knew that you and Christian were destined to meet again. She always said that there are connections in life that time cannot erase. When she realized that the coffee shop you loved so much had belonged to him, she said it was fate trying to bring the two of you together somehow." Silence filled the room. Rosa's words weighed heavily on the air, but they also brought a kind of peace. Christian felt a tightness in his chest, realizing that perhaps their reunion was more than just coincidence. With the conversation over, Rosa said goodbye, promising to return to visit Erica during her treatment. As she left, Christian remained thoughtful. He looked at Erica, now asleep on the couch, and wondered how many lives she had touched without even realizing it. That night, he made a decision. No matter what it took, he would do whatever it took to give Erica the chance to continue spreading her light around the world. After all, she had already changed so many lives, his own included. The morning was calm in the mansion, with the sun bathing the gardens and the birds singing in harmony. Christian sat on the porch, a hot coffee in his hands, watching Erica walk slowly across the lawn. She was still visibly frail, but something in her walk seemed different. There was more determination, more life. As he watched her, Christian couldn't help but think about everything they had been through together. From that day at the airport to the moment she had walked back into his life, everything had seemed so unlikely and yet so right. Rosa was right. Their meeting was not just a coincidence. He remembered the words Rosa had said about Erica's mother believing in destiny. Connections that time cannot erase, she had said. Christian began to believe it too. After all, how many people could say that their lives had been transformed in such an intense and unexpected way? At that moment, Anna ran out of the house with a radiant expression on her face. "Dad, Dad, you need to hear this." Erica, hearing the girl's excitement, also approached slowly, curious. Anna was holding a piece of paper in her hands. Erica's most recent medical report. Dr. Mendoza called. Anna explained, almost breathless. He said the treatment is working. The tests show that the cancer cells are regressing. Erica was speechless, looking at Anna, then at Christian. Tears began to stream down her face. But this time, they were tears of relief and joy. Christian took a few steps toward her and wrapped her in a tight hug. "I knew you would get through this," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You are strong, Erica. You always have been." The news spread quickly through the house, and the whole family gathered to celebrate. It was as if a weight had been lifted from everyone's shoulders. There was still a long way to go, but for the first time in weeks, everyone could breathe a little easier later. While Christian and Erica were alone in the garden, he broke the silence with a serious tone. "I've thought about all this a lot, Erica, about how you came into my life, and I can't believe it was by chance." Erica looked at him curiously. "Everything that happened, the coffee shop, you saving me helping you, and now this, it feels like it was all meant to be. Maybe your mother was right. Maybe there really was something bigger guiding us." Erica smiled softly, touching his hand. "I don't know if I believe in destiny, Christian, but I do believe in the choices we make. And somehow, our choices have brought us here. That's what matters." The conversation was interrupted by Anna, who appeared with her sketchbook. "Look what I made." She showed a new drawing, this time of Erica behind the counter of a coffee shop, smiling at a group of customers. Christian looked at the drawing, and then at Erica. "Do you see this? This is the future we're fighting for. A future where you'll be there, shining like you always have." Erica laughed excitedly as she looked at the drawing. For the first time in a long time, she could imagine herself in that future. And deep down, Christian knew that this was just the beginning of a new life for all of them. A light rain was falling outside, creating a soft sound that filled the living room. Erica was sitting in an armchair near the fireplace, wrapped in a blanket, when Rosa walked in holding an old, slightly yellowed envelope. "I found this among some of your mother's things," Rosa said, handing the envelope to Erica with a look of mixed emotion and mystery. "She asked me to keep it and give it to you at the right time. I think now is the time." Erica looked at the envelope. Her name was handwritten in her mother's unmistakable handwriting. With trembling hands, she carefully opened the envelope and removed the letter. "My dear Erica," she began to read aloud, her voice breaking. "If you are reading this, it is because I am no longer there to explain everything in person. But I want you to know that I have always been by your side, at every moment, even if only in spirit." Christian entered the room quietly, realizing the gravity of the moment, and sat down next to her, offering silent support. The letter continued. "There are things about our family that I have never had the opportunity to tell you, secrets that have been passed down through generations. Your grandmother, Rosalia, always believed that we had a special gift, a gift of healing, but not in the literal sense. Our presence, our words, and even our actions have always brought light to those around us. This is no accident, Erica. It is something that is in our blood, in our legacy." Erica stopped reading for a moment, absorbing the words. She had always felt that there was something special about her mother, something that made her seem almost magical in the way she soothed and inspired. "My mother, your grandmother, kept a journal where she recorded everything about this gift and what it meant. That journal is hidden inside the coffee shop that once belonged to our family. I knew that one day you would need it to understand who you are and to find answers that even I could not give you." Erica looked at Christian, who was clearly intrigued. "In the coffee shop," she murmured. "Yes." She continued reading. "I also knew that when you needed it most, someone special would appear in your life. That person is Christian. He is not just someone that fate brought to you by chance. He was always destined to be a part of your story, just as you were destined to be a part of his." Erica blinked in disbelief. She knew about Christian. The letter confirmed. "When you were born, I had a dream. I dreamed of a man who would go through a great darkness, and that you would be the light that would save him. But he would also be the pillar that would support you in your most difficult moments. When I met Christian at the coffee shop, before all this happened, I knew he was the man of my dreams. Erica finished reading the letter with tears in her eyes. Rosa approached, placing a hand on her shoulder. Your mother always believed that the love and strength you two share were not something ordinary. It is something greater. Christian, deeply touched, held Erica's hand. This explains so much. Don't you think it's time we found that diary? Erica nodded, determined. Something inside her felt stronger, clearer. She knew the diary held the answers she needed to move forward. As they pondered the words in the letter, Christian spoke sincerely. Knowing that your mother believed in me, even before all this, gives me even more reason to do everything I can for you. You changed my life, Erica. Maybe now it's my turn to change yours. Erica smiled, wiping away her tears. She felt the weight of the past begin to align with the possibilities of the future. Her family's legacy, her special gift, and her bond with Christian. It was all beginning to make sense. We're going to find that diary, she said with conviction, and discover everything it has to teach us. The cool wind blew softly through the streets as Erica and Christian approached the coffee shop. The old building seemed quieter than ever, but there was an aura of anticipation in the air. The coffee shop, once home to so many smiles and warm conversations, was now Christian's property. He had bought the place so that Erica could finally reconnect with her past, with her roots, and perhaps find the answers she had been searching for. It's strange, isn't it? Erica murmured as she looked at the door of the coffee shop. This is where it all began, but it feels like it's just the beginning of something much bigger. Christian smiled, placing his hand on her shoulder. I'm with you, Erica. Let's find out what fate has in store for you. As she walked in, the familiar scent of coffee and fresh pastries enveloped her. But something was different. The coffee shop seemed more alive now, with the promise of new possibilities. Erica looked around, as if she could feel the presence of her mother, her grandmother, everyone who had come before her. The place seemed full of history. At the back of the shop, on an old shelf, sat a wooden trunk covered in dust. Rosa, who had helped with the organization of the coffee shop, had mentioned that the trunk might have something important inside. With trembling hands, Erica reached over and carefully opened the lid. Inside was an old leather-bound journal, its cover worn with age. This is it, Erica whispered, immediately recognizing the object as her grandmother's journal. With her heart racing, she sat down at the table and began to leaf through the yellowed pages. The words, written in her grandmother's firm, clear handwriting, began to reveal secrets of her lineage. The journal began with a description of the lives of her grandmother, Rosa, and the women before her. Each of them seemed to be connected by an unusual strength, an ability that had been passed down from generation to generation. But there was also a shared tragedy, a pain that accompanied their gift. The women in her family possessed a rare gift, the ability to heal. Their hands had the power to soothe pain and mend wounds. But over time, that power came at a price. With each healing, they became more fragile, more vulnerable, until the disease consumed them. Erica read carefully, trying to process what was before her. Her grandmother, like all the women in her family, had possessed the gift of healing, but she had also been consumed by a mysterious illness. An illness that manifested itself physically, but also mentally, bringing with it the pain of knowing that with each act of kindness, one's lifespan was shortened. My daughter, her grandmother wrote on one of the pages, the gift of healing is a gift, but also a curse. It calls to us. It compels us to help, to do good, but it consumes us until we are left with nothing but a shadow. Each life we save is a piece of our own life that we leave behind. Erica felt the weight of the words, a deep sadness filling her heart. She looked at Christian, who stood beside her, watching with a somber expression, as if he knew what she was feeling. With each woman in our lineage, the gift of healing has passed from mother to daughter, but it has also taken our health. Yet we have never stopped fighting. Our strength comes not from the absence of pain, but from the ability to find light, even in the darkest hours. Remember that, my dear. Erica swallowed, feeling overwhelmed. She didn't know if her family's gift was a blessing or a curse, but she knew that whatever it was, she now carried that burden, and she was no longer alone in facing it. The last pages of the diary were even more revealing. Erica's grandmother spoke of a connection she had felt with a man, someone who would be a safe haven for the family, someone who would come from outside but who would share the same fate. She knew this person would help break the cycle of pain and suffering. Erica looked at Christian, her heart pounding. "Christian, my grandmother," she began, her voice breaking. "She knew you would come. She knew that somehow you would play an important role in our story." Christian, with a soft look in his eyes, replied, "I always felt that our connection was something more than coincidence. Now, I think I understand why." Erica closed the diary carefully, feeling more connected to her grandmother and all the women who came before her. She knew that her family's gift was not something she could avoid, but perhaps it was something she could use in a different way. Perhaps now, with Christian's support, she could find a way to heal without being consumed by grief. Christian held her hand, and together they looked to the future, determined to break the cycle and rebuild a new life, filled with hope and light instead of darkness. "I think we know what we need to do now," Christian said with a firm smile. "We will fight together, Erica. No matter what fate has in store for you, we will face it together." And just like that, Erica felt something inside her shift. Her family's story, her legacy, was not just about pain and sacrifice, but about strength, resilience, and ultimately the possibility of healing. She was ready to face her destiny, alongside Christian, and write a new chapter in her story. Erica read carefully the last pages of the diary, where her grandmother described a treatment that, according to the family's ancient wisdom, could cure the disease that had plagued the women of her lineage for generations. The treatment was not modern medicine, nor a simple solution. It was a combination of rare herbs, ancient rituals, and a deep understanding of the human body, passed down from mother to daughter over the centuries. This treatment, Erica's grandmother had written, has been passed down through generations. Each of us has contributed a piece of this knowledge. Each woman in our family has been instrumental in discovering what can truly heal, what can free us from this curse that consumes us. Erica paused, her eyes fixed on her grandmother's written words. She felt the weight of each of these words, as if they were an immense legacy. The journal spoke of the importance of each woman in the family, as if each one had left a mark on the healing journey. It was a wisdom that went beyond any modern science. It was something passed down through stories and lived experiences, something that transcended time. "My daughter," the journal continued, "healing comes from the union of women. We are not only healers of the body, but also of the soul. Each of us has a gift, a special ability that, when brought together, forms an immeasurable power. Our strength does not lie in solitude, but in the connection between us." Erica felt the weight of those words, and at the same time, an immense strength welled up within her. She was not alone. She now knew that behind every challenge she had faced, there were women like her, who fought with courage and wisdom. Women who, even in the face of pain, never gave up on their families, on those they loved. Now, she understood the true meaning of her legacy. She closed the diary, with trembling hands, but with a smile on her face. From that moment on, Erica knew what she had to do. She would no longer be a victim of this disease. She had the knowledge. She had the strength of her ancestors, and most importantly, she had Christian support. "Christian," she said, her voice full of conviction, "I know what I need to do. My grandmother left us the path to healing, a path that will require courage and dedication, but it is possible. Every woman in my family has contributed to this. Now it's my turn." Christian looked at her with a mixture of admiration and love. He had always known that Erica was special, but now, seeing the strength and determination she carried, he felt immense pride in being by her side. He knew that together, they could face any challenge. "I'm with you, Erica. We're going to do this. Together, we're going to fight for your healing, and for all the women in your family who went through this before you." Erica felt Christian's words echo in her heart. The certainty that she was no longer alone enveloped her like a protective cloak. She had Christian's love and strength, the support of her family, and the wisdom of her ancestors to guide her. Now, more than ever, she was ready to face her fight with confidence. With every step she took, she felt the presence of the women who came before her, as if they were by her side, guiding her, protecting her. Erica knew that the journey she was about to take would not be easy, but she was ready to accept the responsibility of continuing her family's legacy. She stood and looked out over the horizon, where the sun was beginning to set. There was something symbolic about that moment. The sunlight was leaving, but the darkness of the night was not something to fear. Instead, she now knew that the night brought with it the promise of a new dawn, a new beginning. We will do this, Christian. Not just for me, but for all the women who came before me, Erica said, her voice firm. Christian smiled and took her hand. I am with you, Erica. Together, we will find healing. No matter what happens, we will face it as a family. Erica felt strong, stronger than ever. She knew that her fight would not be hers alone, but also that of all the women who came before her. She had her family's legacy, and with it an unbreakable strength. The treatment would begin, and with it, Erica felt prepared to face any challenge. She was no longer alone, and now she was more certain than ever that healing was within her reach. She was ready to honor her family's history and write a new page, a page of hope and overcoming. The coffee shop, which had once been just a simple, welcoming place full of history, now had a new life. The walls, previously worn down by time and hardship, were fresh and renewed. Every detail had been carefully restored by Christian and his team, but more than that, the spirit of the place had been renewed. Erica felt, with every step, the energy of the place transformed into something more. It was no longer just a coffee shop, but a symbol of healing, hope, and new beginnings. The aroma of fresh coffee, which had previously mixed with the smell of aged wood, now had something special. There was a sense of lightness in the air, a sense that something big was about to happen. Erica, her head full of thoughts, sat at the table in the back, watching the people come and go. The coffee shop was no longer just a place of business. Now, it was a sanctuary, a haven where healing happened in unexpected ways. That was when Christian approached her, a smile on his face, and sat down next to her. He had something important to share. Erica, he began, taking her hand gently. I've been thinking, this coffee shop, this whole story, we can turn it into something much bigger. We can make it a center for research and treatment, a place where others can find healing, just like you did. Erica looked at him, surprised and excited at the same time. She had never imagined that what had started as a simple desire to rebuild her grandmother's coffee shop could turn into something so big. Her heart beat faster, not just at the idea, but at the passion with which Christian presented it. Are you saying you want to create a healing center here? Erica asked, her voice breaking. But Christian, this is so big. I never imagined I could do something like this. Christian smiled, his expression soft and full of love. You have a gift, Erica, and this gift isn't just yours. It's been passed down from generation to generation, and now you have the opportunity to share it with the world. Together, we can make this place more than just a coffee shop. We can make it a place of healing, where people come for answers and leave with more hope. Erica felt touched, as if Christian's words were awakening something in her that she hadn't even known was there. She had always felt that her mission was greater than simply healing herself, but now, she was beginning to see the true extent of that purpose. This was not only the place where she and her family had overcome their hardships, but now it could be the place where other lives would be changed. She closed her eyes for a moment, imagining what might happen if this dream were to truly come true. She felt the weight of her grandmother's legacy, and that of all the women who had gone through similar hardships. The coffee shop, this simple place, would now be a symbol of something much bigger. I want to do this, Christian, Erica said, her eyes shining with emotion. I want to help people, just like my family helped me. I want them to know that they are not alone, that healing is within their reach. Christian squeezed her hand firmly, as if reaffirming the commitment they had both made. We will do this together, Erica. This is our future. It won't be easy, but with your gift, our dedication, and the love we have, we can build something incredible. And so, Erica saw a new possibility unfold before her. The coffee shop, now full of life and meaning, would become a center of healing. What had once been just a simple coffee shop would become a place where people could find healing for their own struggles, Just as she had the idea of helping others, of sharing her family's gift, gave her a sense of renewed confidence and purpose. She knew there would still be challenges ahead, but she also knew she was ready to face them. Her family's legacy, the knowledge of the past, and the strength of love were with her. With a heart full of gratitude and hope, Erica stood up and looked around. Every corner of that coffee shop now had a new meaning. There, not only she, but everyone who walked through that door would find something more than just hot coffee. They would find a place of healing, reconnection, and hope. Let's do this, Christian. Let's make this coffee shop the healing center it was always meant to be. Let's help the world, one step at a time. Christian looked at her with pride, his smile full of love. Together, Erica, together, we will build a legacy that will help many lives. And so, in that moment, the coffee shop was not just a business. It was the starting point for a greater mission, where Erica, with Christian's help, would begin to heal the world, one person at a time. The future was within her reach, and she was ready to embrace it with all her heart. Time passed, and the coffee shop, now transformed into a healing center, began to attract people from all over. They were not just customers looking for a good cup of coffee, but people looking for something deeper. Hope. As the months passed, Christian and Erica's idea became even more important than they could have imagined. The coffee shop had become a meeting place, a place where women who shared Erica's gift for healing came together to share experiences, offer support, and find strength in one another. It was as if fate had brought all these women there, as if the universe had created this space for them to reconnect with their own legacies. That it was in this context of transformation that Isabel entered the story. She showed up on an ordinary day, but something about her caught everyone's attention. Isabel was not like the other women who came there looking for answers or comfort. She was a strong woman with a deep gaze, and something in her smile revealed that she knew what she was doing. There was a calmness and confidence about her that fascinated everyone around her. Erica saw her through the window, entering through the door of the coffee shop, as if she were already part of those walls. When she saw her, a feeling of recognition took over Erica. She didn't know exactly why, but something told her that Isabel was special, that she had something important to share. It was as if the two of them had met somewhere before, perhaps on a deeper, more spiritual level. Isabel walked up to the counter, and when she saw Erica, a soft smile formed on her lips. "You're Erica, aren't you?" Isabel asked, her voice full of history and wisdom. Erica, a little surprised, nodded. "Yes, that's me. And you, how do you know my name?" Isabel smiled again, but this time, there was an intensity in her eyes. "I'm Isabel. I've heard about your work here, about your legacy, and I also know about the gift you carry. I have that gift too." Erica was stunned. The gift? She had never imagined that she would find another woman like her so easily, and even more so, someone who shared the same gift of healing. It was a moment of connection that felt predestined, as if the universe had placed Isabel there to confirm something that Erica was still beginning to fully understand. "Do you have the gift of healing?" Erica asked, now more curious. "How did this happen?" Isabel sat down next to Erica, as if she were a longtime friend. "Yes, Erica. Like you, I am part of a lineage of women with a special gift. Our stories intersect in ways that we cannot even fully understand. Just as your mother knew about your future, mine did too. They prepared us for this, to help us find our true strength." Erica listened intently, sensing a strong and familiar energy in Isabel's words. The coffee shop now felt like the center of a great movement, a space where women with similar stories could find solace and wisdom. Isabel looked around the coffee shop, which was packed with women sitting at tables, talking, laughing, and exchanging experiences. There was something magical in the air, something that Erica felt deep in her heart. It was as if these women had finally found a home, a place where they could be who they truly were, without fear of being misunderstood. "This place, Erica, is more than a coffee shop," Isabel continued, her voice softly moving. "It's a sanctuary, a place of connection, where women like us can come together and share our stories. I came here because I know my journey intersects with yours. Your gift, your legacy, is calling other women to join you." Erica looked around, realizing for the first time the true magnitude of what they were building. This wasn't just a restored coffee shop. It was a meeting place for souls, a place where her family's gift of healing was being passed on, touching and transforming lives. Women like Isabel, with stories of struggle and overcoming similar to Erica's, began arriving, one by one. Each of them carried with them a fragment of what fate had planned, and together they formed a network of support, healing, and empowerment. Stories began to be shared more frequently, as if the cafe was a safe place where the past, present, and future met. "I didn't know there were so many women like me," Erica said, her voice thick with emotion, watching the women chattering animatedly at the tables. "I thought I was the only one." Isabel smiled, touching Erica's arm affectionately. "You're not alone anymore, Erica. Not anymore. This place is now a symbol, and you are the guardian of that legacy. Your mother, your grandmother, and all the women in your family knew this day would come." Erica felt Isabel's words like a warm, welcoming hug. She knew the road ahead would be long and challenging, but now, with the women by her side, she no longer felt alone. Together, they would form a healing network that would not only strengthen the coffee shop, but would spread the light of Erica's family legacy far and wide, touching lives in ways she never imagined. The coffee shop, with its aroma of fresh coffee and welcoming atmosphere, was now more than ever a place of transformation. The women who came here were not just visitors. They were part of something bigger, something that was growing every day. Erica's gift of healing, the same gift that had been passed down from generation to generation, was now spreading to all these women, and the coffee shop became a symbol of a new era of hope and connection. And as the stories continued to be shared, Erica knew that, more than ever, she was fulfilling her purpose. What had begun as a personal struggle was now a collective movement, a journey of healing and empowerment, where each woman had a special place, and her family's legacy, now restored and enlivened by new lives, continued to expand, like a beacon of hope for all who walked through the doors of the coffee shop. The big day finally arrived. The coffee shop, now transformed into a center of healing and hope, was ready to open. It was a bright sunny day, and the air seemed full of possibility, as if the universe itself was celebrating the effort and love that had gone into this place. Erica's mother's dream, a dream that had seemed distant and almost impossible, was now about to become a reality. The cafe, which had once been a humble and simple place, now stood as a symbol of renewal, connection, and, above all, healing. Erica's family was gathered together, each with their hearts filled with pride. Christian, by her side, looked at the cafe with a look of satisfaction and emotion. He knew that this transformation was not just about a restored building, but about a journey of overcoming, love, and unity. It was a reflection of everything Erica and her family had faced, and now, with the healing center, they were stronger than ever. As the guests began to arrive, Erica felt a mix of emotions. She was happy, but she also felt an immense responsibility on her shoulders. This opening was not just an event. It was the realization of a dream, the continuation of her family's legacy. She remembered her mother's letter, the words that encouraged her to continue, even in times of pain and uncertainty. Now, all of that was taking shape, and Erica knew that she was fulfilling the destiny that had been laid out for her. "This place is going to change lives, Erica. You have no idea how much," Christian said, holding her hand tenderly. He was right. What was happening here wasn't just about physical healing. It was about souls connecting, stories being shared, and support being offered. The event was marked by an air of hope, as if everyone present felt that a new cycle was beginning. The cafe, now with its new purpose, was filled with tables decorated with flowers and candles, creating a welcoming and serene atmosphere. With each person who entered, the space seemed to gain more life, more meaning. The visitors, many of them women with stories similar to Erica's, came looking for comfort, a kind word, a cure. And there, in that space, they knew they would find exactly that. In the midst of the celebration, something happened that left everyone speechless. Anna, Christian's daughter, approached Erica with a shy smile. She held a small envelope in her hand, which she handed to her stepmother with an expectant look. Erica watched her curiously. "What is this, Anna?" Erica asked. Feeling a little uneasy, Anna, with trembling hands, opened the envelope and took out a letter. My mother wrote to me a while ago, saying that I should tell you this. I also have the gift. The same gift as you, Erica. Erica was stunned. Anna's revelation was something no one had expected, and the young woman's words made Erica's heart beat faster. She looked at Christian, who was standing next to her, clearly moved. He had always known that there was something special about Anna, but hearing those words from his daughter was a moment of deep connection. I also have the gift of healing, Erica, Anna repeated, now more confident, her eyes shining. I didn't know how to tell you, but now that I see everything you've done here, I see what's possible. I want to help too. The room fell silent for a moment. Everyone there felt the weight of those words, but also the beauty of the revelation. It was as if a new cycle of healing had begun, with young Anna joining the journey that had begun with Erica. She was no longer alone in her mission, and the gift she carried, the same one her mother and grandmother had shared, was expanding, perpetuating itself in a new generation. Isabel, who had been watching the scene with an attentive gaze, smiled gently. The gift manifests itself in different ways, she commented, with profound wisdom. Each woman has a unique way of exercising this power of healing. For some, it is through words. For others, it is through touch. And for some, it is in the heart, in the way they love and support others. Isabel's words touched everyone deeply. It was true. The gift of healing, with all its complexity, expressed itself in different ways in each person. Some healed with simple gestures, others with grand actions. But deep down, they all had in common the desire to help, to do good, to transform suffering into something positive. Erica looked at the family around her. She knew that this was just the beginning of a new stage. What had once seemed like a solitary destination now became a collective journey, where not only she, but also Anna and all the women who came to the cafe, could share their stories, their healings, and their struggles. What you started, Erica, is now a movement that will touch many lives, Christian said, his voice full of emotion. Your mother knew, and you are fulfilling your destiny. Erica smiled, feeling a wave of gratitude and love. Her mother's dream had come true, and she knew that, with the help of everyone there, this healing center would be a beacon of hope for many other women. The place where the gift of healing would not only be shared but celebrated, transforming the lives of everyone who passed by. It was the beginning of a new chapter, full of possibilities, where unity, collaboration, and love were the pillars. And Erica knew for sure that this legacy would continue to grow, to touch more hearts, and to spread its light wherever it went. The atmosphere in the cafe was brighter than ever, and it wasn't just because of the decor or the soft light that flooded in through the large windows. There was something in every corner of that space that emanated a special warmth, something that touched the soul of those who were there. The healing center, now a beacon of hope, became more than just a place for treatments. It was a place of discovery, of transformation, where pain and suffering were no longer the end, but the starting point for something new, something powerful. The following weeks were marked by intense activity. The cafe, now with its new purpose, was no longer just a space for socializing but also a center for research. Christian and his team, in collaboration with some of the most renowned scientists and doctors, began to investigate the healing gift that Erica and the other women possessed. What had once seemed like a mystical and mysterious power, something even feared by many, was now being studied seriously. The research revealed something surprising. The treatment, based on Erica's family's ancestral knowledge, had the potential to revolutionize modern medicine. Christian, with his sharp mind and entrepreneurial vision, knew that this was more than a scientific discovery. It was an opportunity to change the world. He dedicated himself to finding a way to combine ancestral wisdom with the advances of contemporary science. The first results of the studies began to appear, and what had seemed like a simple healing gift turned out to be more complex and powerful than they had imagined. The treatment, which had initially been developed only to help Erica and the women in her family, was now beginning to be applied to people outside the country. Each cure was documented, analyzed, and studied. The stories that reached the coffee shop were moving. People who had lived with incurable diseases for years were now being cured. What had previously seemed like a miracle was now being explained and understood by scientists, doctors, and healers over time. The women who possessed the gift began to realize something that surprised them. The gift, which they had previously seen as a curse, a heavy responsibility, was becoming a blessing. What had seemed like a burden was, in reality, a gift. The ability to heal was not just about treating physical illnesses, but about healing hearts, restoring souls. Love, which had always been at the center of Erica and her family's mission, was now seen as the true key to healing. When women used their gift with love, with an open heart, the results were extraordinary. Christian looked at Erica with immense pride. He knew that without her, none of this would have been possible. She was the pioneer, the first to believe in the potential of this family legacy. She and her family transformed what seemed like a dark gift into a source of light for the world. Through it all, Erica never ceased to be moved by the results. She saw lives being restored, people freed from pain that seemed eternal. The suffering she had endured was now becoming a bridge to healing for others. And best of all, she knew that this process was not only healing people physically, but also healing their spirits, bringing a renewal of hope and faith. Life is full of surprises, isn't it? Erica said to Christian one day, as they watched a group of women who had recently arrived at the center, sharing their stories and experiences. Christian smiled, his usually serious expression now softened by the love and admiration he felt for Erica. I never imagined my life would turn out this way. But you, Erica, you and your family have shown us what it means to truly live with purpose. And it was true. The Healing Center had become more than just a place of treatment. It was now a symbol of renewal, of second chances. People came there with heavy hearts, with the weight of illnesses that seemed insurmountable. But they left with their eyes lit up, with renewed hope. Love transformed not only the lives of those being healed, but also those who were offering that healing. News of the center's success began to spread, and soon people from all over the country, and even from other parts of the world, began to seek help there. Erica's coffee shop became a reference center for those seeking something more than simple physical recovery. They were looking for a new beginning, a new chance to live fully, and they found it in this welcoming place, surrounded by stories of struggle and overcoming. What began as a simple gesture of kindness, an act of faith by Erica, had now become a global movement. The gift of healing, once misunderstood, became a symbol of hope that even the most unexpected things can turn into blessings when used with love. The legacy of Erica's mother, her grandmother, and all the women who came before her was now fulfilling its true purpose. The Healing Center, in Erica's hands, would continue to grow, to heal, and to inspire generations. Love, always the driving force behind every act of healing, was becoming the foundation of a revolution in medicine. And as Erica looked to the future, she knew her journey was just beginning. Erica sat at a table in the coffee shop, surrounded by the warmth of the soft light that illuminated the room. The familiar aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the comforting smell of restored wood in the now transformed space. With a cup of hot tea in her hands, she opened her journal, a place where her deepest emotions had always found refuge. The words began to flow easily, as if her own soul were narrating her journey. She wrote, "Today, as I look at the coffee shop, I see more than just a building. I see the legacy of strong women, a story that spans generations. Every step I have taken here, every decision I have made, has been fueled by the love and hope that have always lived within me, from my mother to my ancestors. Even when life seemed difficult and meaningless, my family and I have never stopped believing. Our mission has always been the same, to heal. And what seemed like a burden, the gift of healing, has become our greatest blessing." Erica paused for a moment and looked around, seeing the women who had found a new home here, those who now shared stories and dreams. They came from different places, with different wounds, but all with the hope of finding healing. Her coffee shop was now a haven for these lost souls, a place where fear gave way to trust and pain to renewal. This cafe, which was once a symbol of our struggles, has now become a place of new beginnings. For me, It represents more than the physical space that was always my dream. It has become a refuge for those who seek to heal what is deeper than any illness, the heart. She took a deep breath, feeling the peace that finally enveloped her. The pain that had been her companion in so many ways, that had haunted her for years, now had no power to dominate her. The transformation she experienced was not only physical but spiritual. The faith that she had lost at some point in her life was now reestablished in an intense and grateful way. She looked out the window at the people passing by on the street. Some were smiling, others with faces marked by sadness, but all of them possessed a spark of hope. And the kiss at the airport, that moment that seemed like a thoughtless impulse, an act of desperation, became a legend, a story told by those who were once lost and without direction, but found a way through a simple gesture. It was there, in that kiss, that my life and Christians intertwined in a way that only fate could have planned. The chaos of the airport, the surprise on our faces, it was all part of a story bigger than anyone could understand at the time. It was the beginning of something transformative, the beginning of a journey where kindness and hope were the greatest strengths of all. As she wrote, Erica felt tears in her eyes, but they were no longer tears of sadness. They were tears of gratitude. She knew that her life had changed forever, and what she had experienced now needed to be shared with the world. The story that began with a simple kiss at the airport was now a testament to how kindness, when combined with love and hope, can heal even the most broken hearts. Now I see that love has no end. It spreads, it grows, and it touches each person's life in a unique way. What Christian and I found together was not just a story of personal rescue. It was a story of collective healing. And every day, I see more people reaching out, with open hearts, willing to be healed, to be touched by the kindness we offer here. May this story, our story, spread like a beacon for all who seek the light. May my family's legacy of love and healing never end but multiply, touching lives for generations. Erica closed her journal, feeling at peace. She knew that her story, though it had begun unexpectedly and full of pain, had now become a testament to strength and resilience. The coffee shop, once a symbol of struggle, was now the beating heart of a healing community. And more than ever, she knew that the true stories are not the ones that happen to us, but the ones we choose to create, the ones we choose to share with the world. Erica's story, of the airport kiss, of the love that saved, was now at the center of everything. And she knew that no matter how much the story spread like legend, its true strength came from what she and her family had created, a place where healing and hope never ended. Did you like today's story? Then leave your like. It is very important for our channel, and don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell. By doing this, you will not miss any story here on the channel.